Why are there so many more LGBTQ people? 3. Look at graphs about left-handed people trough time, it's the same thing. I just found out I was a bi guy at 40. If I was born today, I would have found out probably at like 13. Internalized homophobia as a bitch. So, I suppose there are more people realizing it and more people feeling safe to tell others. It's just like the change back when people stopped abusing children for being left-handed. Suddenly society saw the numbers of left-handed people skyrocket. Not because more people got born left-handed, but because they didn't have to hide themselves or change who they were born as to avoid abuse. In the same sense, as society changes to accept LGBTQ+ and they don't get abused or worse, they are able to openly be themselves and express so. It's not perfect yet and some are still being abused by something as simple as being left-handed. But it's become so normalized that it's fully accepted in most of the world. Let's work toward a future where we will think people are just as weird for having a problem with LGBTQ+ as someone having a problem with people being left-handed. 1 and 3. Gay and queer people have always existed. I literally just had this conversation with my kid. He doesn't get why people used to have to hide that they were gay. I explained why people used to have to hide, ignore, deny their sexuality and then thank the gods. He doesn't have to grow up with a homophobic dad like I did. 3 for sure. Being part of the LGBT community, I've talked to a lot of older people that are part of it as well, and told me they didn't come out until recent years because it wasn't accepted as much before. A combination of 1 and 3. To build on what you, Strawberry Lemonade, mentioned, I also want to make an argument that it's all 3. As a counterpoint to a lot of people who are arguing that 2 is not a factor. If you imagine 2 identical men living in parallel universes of 1920 and 2020. Our 1920s Johnny hits puberty and doesn't feel too special about girls. He's just as happy to go fishing with his buddy Richard. He's never met a fairy, and he's heard that's bad. Really, it's never even occurred to him to kiss another boy. Eventually he meets a girl who he's really wild about and they get married and live happily ever after. 2020 Johnny has actually seen gay people in real life. And it's okay. So he's allowed to consider that opportunity in his real life. It turns out he likes Dick. I mean Richard. And he and Richard have a beautiful coming-of-age romance. Johnny identifies as bisexual. Eventually he meets a girl who he's really wild about and they get married and live happily ever after. Johnny continues to be a bisexual. Mr. 1920s Johnny would tell you in the most honest confidence that he's a late bloomer and a heterosexual. And it would be true. Identity has a utility of self-labeling. You're telling other people what to reasonably expect from your behavior and about your self-concept. People now have more opportunities for exploration. Fewer negative guilt feelings that make homoerotic content unappealing for that reason. A lower cost to identify as queer even if they later decide otherwise. Instead of needing to be 100% sure because telling people will dismantle your life. And a wider range of attractions that qualify as queer, that would have been considered sufficiently straight a few decades ago. Human sexuality is a spectrum. There are a lot of people that, in less accepting times, were able to just be okay with opposite-sex partners and keep their fluidity a secret or never explore it. In a more open society, people do not need to repress anything. If you read about the Kinsey scale and what current human sexuality research suggests, then you'll learn that there is a much greater proportion of the population that has always been not quite heterosexual. 1 and 3 My dude, queer peeps have always existed. When you read history in the future, you see a lot of roommates or sisters living together with different surnames. Now you will know. 3 For me, it literally was frowned upon not long ago. Gay PPL still can't donate blood. There is so much hate to this day. Would you be open about if you knew that majority would shame you and not accept you? That you could lose your job, get harassed and spit on? When PPL feels safe and accepted, that is when they open up. It's not many more of us, it's just less of hateful use. All of the above. If you look up the mortality statistics during the AIDS crisis, it was devastating. For an example, the Acquire in San Francisco had a 90+% mortality rate, and the government at large did nothing to help, as the LGBT community was considered deviant and their deaths celebrated. The disease affected the community so much it got the nickname gay cancer. So yes, as more people have been born, the ratio of LGBT people have been rising, myself included. Your third point is also big. You will no longer lose your job, your house, and social safety nets now. People don't need to pretend to be straight and meet up with a significant other in secret. This is a very new change. I remember when "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" was repealed, and how it was illegal for marriage until the last decade or so. Your mind would be blown by the amount of LGBTQ+ people there were throughout history that historians have covered up. There have always been this many. They're just finally being accepted. 3. I think more people are comfortable coming out now. At the same time, I do think the media is pushing gender on young kids and confusing them, because people are more accepting. It's absolutely 3. Just 20 years ago, the world was a very large place. If you were gay and lived in a town of say 1,000 people, then you really did only have a small cross section of the world where they might not know anyone else like them. Now everyone is connected to everyone, and a gay person can see that there's millions of people just like them living their best lives. I think it's brilliant that humans are showing themselves to come in all flavors and varieties, and it's mostly safe. Of course, you're going to get people that hate you for who you are. There's a chance the same people that hate you for being gay are the same people that hate me for liking heavy metal and having long hair. It's a combination of all 31. You are probably just now noticing more LGBTQ+ people because we have become far more visible in recent years and through social media. Point 2. There probably aren't significantly more gay people than there were in any other point history. But what there certainly is a lot more people being able to outwardly identify, present as LGBTQ+. Point 1 has helped with this. Point 3. It is a lot safer and more socially acceptable to come out of the closet now. That means people you only know casually are now able to present as queer, whereas in the past you might have presumed they were straight because they felt they had to blend in. Lesbian here. Part of it is that gay people are more comfortable coming out and straight people are more comfortable questioning their sexualities than they were in past generations, like you said in your post. The other part of it is that people have started using queer as both a synonym for being gay and a synonym for being rebellious, alternative, quirky. Which means you have tons and tons of functionally heterosexual teenagers coming out of the woodwork to proclaim themselves a part of the LGBT community. Queer has become the new emo, to the frustration of many functional adult gay and lesbian people. I'm guessing it will level out in a few years after these kids have grown up and matured a bit. Hoping the next generation's alt subculture doesn't involve hijacking a demographic I am a part of. Crossed fingers. Funnily enough, it's all three. More LGBT people are surviving through adolescence, adulthood, because it's no longer socially acceptable to murder them. So there are technically more of us around. Because of this, more people are comfortable being out because, again, they're less likely to be fucking murdered now. Add that to the fact that having more LGBT people visible means we're more likely to be comfortable coming out ourselves. Then you add the internet age, where now we're all connected and you can see people of all walks of life and their experiences in the world. You now have more access to the LGBT community and people who identify with it. And with this information, people are more likely to realize what's going on in their heads as them being LGBT. It's harder to pretend that we don't exist, that it's not normal or natural, and that it's not a human being that you're turning into a talking point, caricature, or boogeyman. So technically you're right on all fronts, even if it's not quite the way you phrased it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.